In American culture currently, there is a loneliness epidemic that is honestly just negatively affecting every single person's mental health to some degree, especially since COVID. But the thing I want to talk about is the fact that you need to protect your community. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that and why community matters in the face of just your everyday life and how it honestly actually motivates you to become not only a better person, but to be a person of value.
And who, at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat.
Welcome back to the Winter Arc Podcast. I'm your host, Grant, and today is September the 9th, entry journal number 7, I believe now. And I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit about community and what it means to protect your community. And I'm not talking about like physically or verbally protecting your community. What I'm rather talking about is protecting the time that you have and your energy towards your community. And so what do I mean by that? Because oftentimes a lot of productivity influencers and a lot of people who like practice productivity think that community is actually a bad thing, that it'll slow them down, that it will almost like make it a burden to connect with people, which is kind of adverse and kind of weird to think about, that some people would think that their motivations can be like kindled by themselves. But let me tell you this truth about this fact. If you don't have a community, you will fail. You will quit, and you won't be able to hold yourself accountable. Because at the end of the day, us humans are geared towards community. I mean, like, why do you think cities form? Cities form and have formed in the past and throughout history because it's a form of safety. It's a form of safeguards. Like, why do you think that we, like, if the power goes out or something crazy happens in the area, like near you or in your neighborhood, what do? You go over your neighbor and you like try to figure out what's happening and stuff. Like, it's a community that actually matters and that actually strengthens you and keeps you safe and accountable. And the reason that I want to talk about this in particular is the fact that if you don't have a community in the midst of the quote unquote loneliest generation, then you're going to be lost. You're going to feel lost. You're going to feel disconnected, because even if you do become successful, right? Even if you are really productive and a really motivated person, you're still going to feel like the sense of like, what is the point? Because you don't have that value and you don't have that kind of like innate desire to connect with people on a whole other level. And I'm not talking about like the fake communities online where it's like about a certain niche or it's about a certain topic, or even like the quote unquote hype squads when it comes to toxic productivity and stuff. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about real communities. I'm talking about the friends that you've made online, even on Discord. Like, even though they're not like, even though you don't know them in real life, a lot of people have actually grown up with a lot of people through Discord and through different social media outlets. And the reason I bring that up is the fact that even though we have all of these abilities to connect with literally anyone on earth, we are literally the loneliest generation, Gen Z especially, because we have actually isolated ourselves and social media is no longer social. And so I kind of wanted to present this case about the fact that you can either shut yourself up from the world and not engage with community, or you can choose to engage with community and even start to build a community if you don't feel like you're a part of community, or join a community and just feel like that you are able to connect with other people, not for the sake of just like networking, because a lot of people think that that's all community is supposed to be for. No, like the community I'm talking about is the type that you are able to show up for because you want that community to succeed, or that community loves you and you love that community. And I think that there has to be something said about the church in general, because for instance, like without the church in my daily life now, like I don't know where I would be, honestly. And like, you know, you might not be a Christian, you might not think that church is important, but like think about this. For the past like 100 years, American culture and neighborhoods and whole cities kind of had these kind of like cliques, sort of, because they all went to church together and they all had their community and they all built kind of like this value system like niche value system based on like the current neighborhood they were in and stuff like that, based with the people that they went to church with. And in my case, like, I'm going to church because I'm a Christian, that I believe in God. Not that like people who are traditional Christians weren't Christians or something like that, like 100 years ago or like in the 50s and stuff. Like basically the 50s and in the early 1900s, they were more like cultural Christians. Like they weren't, some of them obviously were Christian and most of them probably were, but there were some that just kind of went with the flow of culture. But today's culture is really different. Like today's culture is actually dominated a lot by like atheistic views of just God and just like theology in general. But I'm not trying to get on this whole sidetrack of like theology and just like church history and stuff. But I just wanted to bring up the fact of all the, like America in general was a very Christian oriented country culturally from the 1900s to about 1960, 1950, something like that. But during that time though, like communities were able to form around specifically the church. So the question I'm asking is, what do you need to be able to connect with others? And what do you need for a community that will actually push you to who you are, who you can be, to the best version of yourself? And as for me, as a Christian, it's encouraging to be able to go to a community and go to a church that loves me for who I am, that loves me and my wife for who we are, and keeps us accountable to who we are as Christians and who we are according to who God has called us to be, right? And so that can be applied to almost anything that you're interested in. Like maybe you're not a Christian, but maybe you really want to like be accountable to productivity or motivation and stuff like that. So like find that community that is able to really connect with you, that you are able to connect with them. Because at the end of the day, joining this like toxic productivity hype squad Discord servers and like where there's thousands of people joined in this one club, like it doesn't help you. It doesn't do anything for you, because you know why? Because as soon as you leave, no one's going to notice that you left. Because the communities that count are the ones where you feel close knit to a few people, where you feel like here are 10 people, or here are 5 people, or here are even just 2 people who really genuinely care about me and who like really desire the best for me. And so that's the real thing that I really wanted to make this point about, is the fact that, are you going to continue to be a part of this lonely epidemic of just honestly depression kind of, or are you going to choose to say, you know what, for my mental health and for just like in general, like for my well-being and for accountability and for just in general, like who you want to be and who you want to become, like depending on your interests or whatever niches and values, like joining a community is actually going to be able to give you the ability to grow as a person. And, I've already stated this as before, but that's just the truth about community. We can't like have this mindset that we somehow can do it all on our own, because if we think we can, we're joking ourselves, we're kidding ourselves. And so that's the thought that I just wanted to leave with you guys tonight. It's just a very simple thought, but I just thought I would share it because me and my wife have just been blessed feeling like we are loved where we are in our community, which is mostly our church right now. And we just are able to grow in who we are as Christians and as people who like love God and who want to grow in the things of God. And that's the thing that I think that is valuable when it comes to finding a community. Like, how do you want to grow and what do you want to do? And as I said, if it's just based on success, if it's just based on motivation, if it's just based on productivity, you're missing the whole point. There's more to community that meets the eye, because life is worth living side by side with people rather than alone, because you can't do it alone. And as I said, you're kidding yourself if you think you can do it alone. But I just thought I would leave you with that thought, because that's something that I've been thinking about the fact that I just feel blessed to be part of a community that wants to see me and my wife grow and succeed, honestly, just in life and through who we are as people, because I think that's the main reason for community in general. Being a part of community who wants to see you succeed as people, not just like in life, because it's great if you succeed in life, like monetarily and physically and everything like that, but just be a part of a community and find a community that wants to see you succeed as a person, and then you've won.